Been chatting with quite a few people out there in the past month or so and been noticing there's been a common theme in a lot of conflicts that people are experiencing, and including myself. And recently, it's been had a strong focus on communication. And once I put a lot of time and energy into improving communication in my life, things started opening up quite a bit. And been thinking about it even more and just realized how much conscious dance has played a part in helping me with my communication skills. And I mean, it's also my level of involvement in terms of volunteering and being an assistant for facilitators and producing events and being a facilitator myself. That in itself helped develop my skill for communication so much. But just in general, I feel that most people and their issues with whether it's like their health or their relationships or business, there's usually conflicts that are associated with communication issues, and it's either a communication with self, communication with others, or communication with a higher power, whether it's God, universe, whatever word you want to use. But I feel like those three modes of communication to the different sources in one's life is quite substantial. And if you could just be at least decently proficient in communication in all those three channels, it really does open up a lot. And yeah, uh, yeah. So in terms of communication with self, I feel conscious dance is a really great space for that because we spend so much of our time in our lives playing roles and fulfilling the needs of other people to try and fulfill the needs of ourselves. And sometimes we take priority in, especially if we're playing the role of like a guardian or a teacher or parent or a caregiver, some kind of caregiving role. It's very easy to fall into prioritizing someone else's needs before your own, or a person's own needs, and over time that just becomes the habit, and before we know it, we're living lives for other people. And I'm definitely guilty of this, and this was one of the gifts of COVID situation going on, because before the lockdown I was definitely in a mentality of just helping other people. I was living a lifestyle where I was running this conscious dance company, and I was running in a way where I was constantly thinking, what do other people want? What do other people need? And how can I do things so it's fulfilling their needs? And I felt that to be very draining. I was also working in a restaurant as a bartender server, and again, just the nature of the job. You're always constantly asking people what they want, what do they need, and that's the whole focus of why I'm there. And I was also in a relationship where I wasn't regulating my own self-care and just constantly putting the focus on the other person, and that didn't turn out to be a very effective way to be in a relationship and just show up in general in life. So once I started prioritizing my own needs and communicating those things, identifying and communicating with my own self, saying, hey, this is what I need. I'm like, okay, it's very clear. Like, I need to rest, or I need to be by myself, or I need to move my body, I need to eat better food, whatever. And I feel conscious dance is a really, really helpful tool for that, because that's kind of the essence of the entire practice. You're just in a room with music with other people, and you say, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to express myself in this moment? How does this song inspire me to express myself? Or maybe my need is to just sit on the floor and lie down on the ground and close my eyes. Either way, it's creating a space within myself and within the room for me to identify the need and to do that without being judged or feared or having to really compromise or consider, okay, do I need to consider someone else's well-being or safety before I can fulfill this need for myself? So yeah, like I feel with the conscious dance in general, it's such a good space to practice so many things, but only if you have like the mentality or kind of walk into the space with that intention. And it's such a magical place in a lot of ways. And Unfortunately, I'm in Ontario right now, and the first thing I did when I landed was, all right, great, I get to go back to the Dover courthouse. They're opening up. Toronto's opening up, so they have they have weekly classes on Thursdays and Fridays, and I'm just gonna go and dance a couple nights at the space where I first started my conscious dance journey, and then lo and behold, it is closed down. So after over 20 years of supporting dance communities, not just like conscious dance communities, but they were doing like salsa and different kinds of lessons in that building. It was 3 floors. They had 3 studios, and they had dance classes going all day throughout the entire week. And unfortunately, the owner decided to close it down and do something else with it because they were offered another business idea that was more sustainable during these times. So they closed their doors, and the two main companies, conscious dance companies that were operating out of there, are either on pause or looking for another space. So, but yeah, I definitely put out there to a higher power that I had this need to express myself and move my body. So on the Friday night, I met up with a friend, and he was like, "Hey, this person's in town. Do you want to go visit him in Toronto?" I'm like, "Sure." And met up with him in Kensington area, sat down, chilled for a bit, and we started talking about Muay Thai because my friend lived in Thailand for about 6 years, and he was training Muay Thai and decided to even compete. He had 3 fights, and he was just training the entire time. And I started getting all excited, like, "Man, I want to throw some kicks." He's like, "I got some pads at home. You want to like train?" I'm like, "Sure." So we end up going back to his place, getting some pads, and go to this park that's located behind the Art Gallery of Ontario. So it's a beautiful park with a bunch of like art installations and stuff. And there was a live jazz band going, and then we just started training. So just like throwing combos, and he was giving me tips on how to throw my kick better. And I spent an evening just doing that. And got my need for movement fulfilled. But I feel that if I wasn't clear within myself and to a higher power, and to my friend, communicating, "Hey, I have this just like this desire or this need to throw kicks," then that wouldn't have happened. So um, having that communication in line allowed me to have this desire fulfilled. And then I'm also in Ontario too, and I another thing that really stood out was I finally got to visit a grave of a friend who passed away in 2018. She committed suicide, and she was 22 at the time, and it was really heartbreaking to hear those news. She was a very bright and beautiful soul and had a lot to contribute to the world. And I think we related in a lot of ways because being young and looking at the world and the amount of corruption and darkness and just a lot of suffering in the world and trying to do something about it, but just being overwhelmed with confusion at the state of affairs. And part of me is kind of, glad that she wasn't around for some of the stuff that's happening in the world right now, but had to really work through some things and, um, you know, going to a place of soul contracts, and I don't know what was in her soul contract, so, maybe that was our perfect time to leave this time-space reality. But I ended up going to a gravesite finally for the first time, and on her gravestone it says, "You are loved." And I just had this feeling of, I could really relate to that, of wanting to commit suicide because you don't feel loved. And obviously she had family and friends that, loved her dearly, but she obviously didn't feel that way because of what happened, or her course of action. And it came to me that, in terms of personal responsibility, I was like, well, was she able to ask and communicate what her needs for feeling loved were with her friends and family? Was she able to even identify what those needs were for herself? And then started going to a place of, okay, well, did anybody even tell her that she needed to do these things? So just kind of got into this place where I was kind of grieving and just kind of feeling that for a day. And then also just being inspired and reigniting this passion for conscious dance, because I've learned these skills and tools to help me manifest situations and people and places and things to help fulfill my life and enrich the quality of my experience. And a big part of it is because I've been doing this conscious dance practice on the regular for many years, and it's been very helpful in helping me identify what's going on with my body, what my body's trying to communicate with me, and then I can communicate just express myself openly without that feeling of judgment, and just doing it openly and honestly. So, yeah, that's everything I've been kind of going through, and luckily I was able to go portaging with my sister and her family for a few days, so got some time in nature to come down from that experience and just take it all in and just be in nature and be reminded of the things that I want to move forward with. So, speaking of which, I'll be back in Calgary on August 2nd, and I will be offering a conscious dance on August 3rd. So, if you're interested and want to come check out and move and dance, be present and in live, people, well, we're doing it live with other people. So, if you want to participate and been craving that experience, shoot me an email in the description below, and we'll get you all sorted out. And if not, thanks for listening to me for 11 minutes or so, and catch you on the next video. Peace. Deuces.